This podcast is part of the No Phony Podcast Network, the home of independent awesomeness.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
No. Brother, if you weren't born in 1986, you weren't even a squirt on your parents' mind. Friday the 13th, that hockey mask is known everywhere.
Hey, everybody, welcome again to another edition of the Luxa Edition, the podcast where we dig into classic pop culture. My name is Bill Siebold, and I'm here, as always, with Mr. Casey Shearer. How are you, sir?
Good, Bill. How are you?
Good. I haven't seen you I guess we've been off for about a week or two. We did an interview, but we just haven't had a chance to release the episode.
Yep. Some personal things come up, and it's just the way the world goes. But we're back. And we actually were just talking before this. We might be taking another couple of weeks off here to get our studio set up before the new year.
I'm excited.
But it's going to be very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some good ideas playing there.
Yeah. So we have an interview today. CJ Graham from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. But before we get into that interview, Bill, I want to jump back in the time machine and talk about something that we talked about on a show previously. I think it might have actually been on the last show. You were saying about how I wear all the different T-shirts all the time.
Right. Yep.
And you were talking about a friend of yours with the Taco Bell T-shirt, the Rocky and Bullwinkle shirt.
You're telling me you have a Bullwinkle shirt?
Well, I did a little research. And because it blew my mind as to why Rocky and Bullwinkle were the Taco Bell sponsors. Like I still haven't been able to figure that out. It hasn't made any sense to me, but it was in 1993 and you would have had to eat 40 tacos to get a T-shirt.
Okay. 40 doesn't sound that crazy.
Right. So you would have had to get a punch card.
Yep.
And I think at 20 tacos, you could have got a hat, a painter's hat with the Rocky and Bullwinkle logo on it. Or you could wait until 2020.
You just Supermaned me.
And get it on eBay.
You really found it? That's an actual shirt from 1993 from that campaign.
It's top notch. I don't even know if it's ever been worn.
That was it. That was my friend Gary came walking in with the moose right on his chest. Oh, my God.
There it is.
And you didn't even have to eat any of those wretched tacos.
Nope. I refuse to eat a Taco Bell taco.
Wow. Yeah, I have no idea why a moose and squirrel represented tacos, but they did for a hot minute. Look at you, man. Your T-shirt game is on point.
Pretty cool, huh?
You have other cool news.
I do have other cool news. So CJ Graham is our guest today. He played Jason Voorhees, and we've talked to Tommy McLoughlin. He was the writer and director of Part 6, CJ's Jason.
It seemed like that would be a really good exclamation point for that awesome interview with Tommy. I mean, I'm looking at our show. I'm like, people are going to think we just talk about Friday the 13th. No, we just really like this movie and this series, but this movie in particular. But yeah, it was cool having CJ on.
Yeah, very cool. So then we also talked to John Shepard. And in all of our interviews with the Friday the 13th people, we've talked about the fan films that are now being made because of the Friday the 13th lawsuit with Victor No Show, No Call Miller.
Right. Where are you, Victor? We're still waiting for that call, Victor.
Still haven't heard anything, Victor. But anyway, there's a new fan film being made called Roseblood. It's actually going to be a continuation of Part 7. They're pretending that none of the other movies happened and that this is going to be a continuation of Part 7.
Wait a minute. So this isn't a sequel to any of the ones that have already been made? I'm talking specifically about fan films, not actual Friday the 13th movies.
Nope. This is just going to be a continuation of part 7.
So is Lar Park Lincoln in it? She played Tina, who had the Carrie-like telekinetic powers.
Lar Park Lincoln will be in it.
Oh, wow. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not an official release. It's a fan film, and it's a sequel. 7 was a really, really good one. Wow, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be pretty cool. And another thing to get excited about is, so I joked with CJ, a little spoiler for our interview here with CJ. I joked about how if he ever reprises his role as Jason, that I could fill in for him as a stunt double. So for Roseblood, they did a raffle. It was $79 for whatever reason. The raffle was $79. Maybe because I guess they filmed the first one in 79 and then was released in 80.
Okay.
So I signed up for a $79 raffle ticket to play one scene in Roseblood as Jason Voorhees. I won the raffle.
You won the raffle. Hold on a minute. You're going to play Jason Voorhees for one scene in the new movie because you won a raffle?
Yep.
Do you know what the scene is? Like, are you killing somebody? Are you getting killed?
It will be a kill scene.
You're going to kill somebody. I mean, yeah. All right. Are you going to be able to like videotape the whole thing? Like, we could make a whole special around it because I want to know like what a production feels like, what it's like to sit around all day and what it's like to film the scenes. Like, I'm actually curious to get a firsthand, which you can tell from all the interviews we do. I'm always asking those kind of questions, but you can give me all the dirt.
I'm going to try to get a little dirt, see what we can get.
Do they know who's playing Jason? Like, who are you doubling for? Is it it's not CJ. He would have probably mentioned it.
No, he was actually in Vengeance. His name's Jason Brooks. He played Jason in Vengeance, the other fan film.
Yeah. Okay. Because Kane Hodder played it in 7, 8, and kept on going.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah.
But I remember Vengeance, and I remember thinking that Jason was pretty strong and pretty, well casted. So cool.
Yeah, we're about the same size. So he's got about 3 inches on me.
Oh man, when do you do this? Where is it? Like, tell me more.
The only thing I know is that it's in Seattle. I'll know more information in about 2 weeks. After the new year, I'll know a little bit more. But everything's taken care of. My flight, rental car, all that. So when I found the information out, when I got the news that I had won the raffle, I asked the most important questions. Must I shave my beard?
Oh, yeah.
And can I smoke weed? Because it's in Seattle, man. It's legal weed there.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
You're gonna be stoned, Jason. You're gonna be walking around with a machete, stoned, twirling it like you're gonna lose a hand. You're just gonna be stoned. That's fantastic. You want to go over Tom Skerritt's house while you're up there? I mean, show up just like Jason.
Visit Tom. Yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's excellent, man. Congratulations. This is the week of Casey. Nice. All right.
Thank you. So, you want to jump into the interview now with the actual man who played our favorite Jason?
Yeah, CJ, I hadn't met him before. Sometimes we do this show and you have no idea what they're going to be like when they, get on the other end of the phone or Zoom as we're using. I really enjoyed just kind of sitting back and listening to CJ's stories. And, he's a really fun guy. I really enjoyed this interview as well.
Yeah, this was fun. And before we get into it, I'll do just some quick plugs here. You can check our website out. Bill revamped the website. You can go over there and find out where we are just by going to our website. It's deluxeedition.show. And then we're on the No Phony Podcast Network. A lot of big changes happening over there come the new year. And CJ plugs it in the interview, but his website, jason6.com, where you can get cool stuff like this. I ordered it after the interview.
You are full of surprises today. So for the people who are listening and not watching, not to spoil it, but CJ does sell machetes, side machetes, and that's a real machete.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
sharp.
how sharp that looks. That's awesome. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, pretty
It's
cool.
gonna have to be a prop for our new set,
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I got it, man.
Cool.
It's not only mine, it's the show's.
That's right. Belongs to the show.
That's
So
right.
if we can make some money, it'll be a tax write-off. Well, Casey, before we get to the interview, I just want to do a quick commercial for somebody new that we're working with, and I think you're going to like this one a lot. So you and I are both Jay and Silent Bob fans. Did you know that they actually own a company that sells pre-rolls?
Really?
Yeah, it's not THC, it's CBD. And we are now officially affiliates for Jay and Silent Bob pre-rolls. So I want to tell everybody who's interested in this product that if you go to J Silent Bob, JSBfree.com and try out their pre-rolls, 34% CBD, 5% CBGA, no THC in them. I mean, you can take them, tear them up, and mix them with your weed if that's how you prefer. But you can just also smoke these just the way they come. And honestly, I've tried a lot of CBD products, and they never really felt like anything, to the point where I'm kind of going, I'm not sure most of these people are telling the truth about how much CBD is in a product, or CBD doesn't do shit. However, I did enjoy these because they did show up. I got a few coming to you as well. And yeah, there's definitely a nice little, relaxing sort of buzz on them. So for everybody listening, if you want to give these a try, they're actually giving them away for free, with the exception of the cost of shipping, which is only $5. So listeners of our show can go to jsbfree.com, check out with the code DELUXE, and you'll only have to spend $5 and you'll get 3 pre-rolls to sample. And I definitely think, give it a shot. If this is your bag and you like these kind of, what are these, like, is this a bad habit? Maybe, I don't know. Like, what are we, when people were smoking or drinking, like everyone's like, yeah, it's an indiscretion. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but these days it's like, this kind of stuff isn't really looked down upon anymore.
No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
not at all. It's a medicine, bro.
Yeah, sure. We take it for anxiety.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying mine.
Well, you'll have it any day now. And everybody else, go to jsbfree.com, jsbfree.com with the keyword deluxe, and you can have yours as well. So that's it. Why don't we jump into the interview?
Sounds good, brother.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a background.
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Look at that room. You scared the shit out of me one time. We were, I was at a Frightmare in Dallas.
Oh yeah, nice show.
Everybody had reunited. Everybody had their costumes.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I was snooping around, and you were dressed, and I walked right into you. And I got to admit, it scared the shit out of me. I knew it was a costume. I knew it was you. And I was like, that is imposing. That is a scary costume.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, part 6, and my natural frame, as you saw, it's the same. I think I weigh 250 right now. I weighed 243 when I did the movie. So I don't think there's much of a difference. Maybe my left foot might be a little bigger now. Other than that, I'm the same physical standing person that I was back then. So long as I can fit into the wardrobe and keep that waist down below a 36, I can do the job.
That's great. Yeah, we talked to Tommy, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, I guess, Casey. So it's really nice that we're getting to talk to you as well. So the way that our show works, if you're not familiar, we have fan questions. Everybody has submitted things. Casey's going to read those. I jump in once in a while and try to, pull a little bit more out where I can.
It's real simple. My name is CJ Graham, and I approve this message.
Very good. Very good.
I might run for Congress or something the way things are going. So I got this.
All right, cool. Is the costume behind you, is that official? Is that what you wore in the movie?
No, that's a replica, and it just happens to be something in my background. As you can see, my right shoulder, and then you can see my military uniform when I got out of the military about 46 years ago. Then I used to be an executive vice president for the Palms Resort Casino. I ran the casino operations and the Playboy Club.
Wow. How did you make the transition from that gig to killing people?
Well, I went from actually being a dealer in Reno, Nevada, wearing a pink shirt back in the early 80s, to Los Angeles to run nightclubs, and then into the homicidal killer, and then went back into Las Vegas to count the bodies up there in the desert, and then just stayed.
That's awesome. All right, Casey, you ready to kick off?
All right, so we got a bunch of the same questions here from a lot of people. Want to know, what is your favorite kill in your Part 6 movie?
Well, my kill that I like the most is the sheriff. And Casey, the reason for that is there's no blood, there's no guts. It's just pure friggin' strength. I mean, if you could just take an arm and pull it out of a socket, detach it, flip a body like, a turkey breast and just crush it. To me, that's more terrifying than a bunch of blood. Blood is great, but it's a special effect. But the power it would take to break somebody in half, that's pretty tremendous.
Absolutely.
When we spoke to Tom, we were getting down to the understanding of his idea of bringing Jason back kind of as a Frankenstein monster. Did he say to you, hey, you have superhuman powers, you're stronger than you've ever been? Or was it just kind of like, we're just going to go with it and make it up as we sort of go?
No, Tom was very meticulous. Tom is, just an exceptional writer, director. And I, knowing nothing whatsoever, you have to remember, and you can ask this question later, I had never done an acting gig or a stunt in my life when I stepped on that set. So Tom took a tremendous chance with me, number one, but he was very clear. Both Tom and I love the Universal horror movies, and the old Frankenstein that comes back to life is really what he was trying to create. Now that person is non-stoppable, back to breaking the sheriff's back, yet the brain cells are connecting. So there's some connectivity and some curiosity, as you may recall with the scene with the little girl inside the cabin.
I didn't even make that connection that was a Frankenstein sort of callback. And when Tommy told us that, I was like, oh my God, I've known this movie for 30 years inside and out, longer, maybe. I don't even know. How old is the movie at this point? When did it come out? Mid-'80s?
Older than you.
It must. Yeah, it is. Because I remember. Yeah.
Brother, if you weren't born in 1986, you weren't even a squirt on your parents' mind.
I do remember stayed up late.
I will tell you, I'm humbly appreciative that 3 decades later that myself and Tom Matthews, and we're all being considered an iconic legends of just what we've done. So you know what? I got to really say humbly, gosh, it's a pleasure. It really is.
That's great. I mean, when you were doing it, you knew that Friday the 13th was a popular franchise. Has it become more popular than when the movie came out?
Yes. And, at the time, it was really the turning point for the Friday the 13th franchise. If you go back and look at it, up to that point, Jason was just a character. And then at that point, Jason became the principal. Everybody going forward want to know what Jason was going to do, not what a camp counselor was going to be. They were going to say, okay, what's Jason's next move? So Tom really put very quietly, in a very smooth way, put Jason at the forefront in Part 6.
Speaking of Tom, a lot of people also asked, we all know that you were in Vengeance with Tom. If you were asked, would you be in a fan film as Jason?
I don't know, yes or no. It's kind of an open question, just like Vengeance coming back to me and asked me if I do Bloodline. I'd look at the options. There's got to be something for everybody in it. I don't want to go to Mars. I don't want to do a part where I can't perform well. I don't want to be a has-been if I was to do it. Now, when I did Elias Voorhees, it was my own character. And if you take a look at it, I mean, that's my beard. I grew it out for 4 months. They put me in a stringy wig, so I looked like a Viking, basically. But I still have the same structure and size. The gentleman that they put against me, Jason Brooks, is of my size characteristically. So when we face off, I mean, it's just perfect. It's just like you would be squaring off with your father and having words in disagreement.
All right, so before we get into the rest of the fan questions, I have a fan question of my own, and it's probably the only question that doesn't have to deal with Friday the 13th. Do you have any good stories about working with the Stillers on Highway to Hell?
Interesting enough, most people don't realize that I played Hell Cop. Unfortunately, Hell Cop it's become a cult more so, but it's because people are just finding out about it, 30 years later. Unfortunately, when we did that film, the company bankruptcy before the full distribution to the theaters went out. So it sat on the shelves of MGM and Universal until they bought the library, and then there was a distribution a few years ago. But it's funny because people saying, hey, Ben Stiller, he had like about 6 seconds in it. And what does he get now? About 20 million a film. And his mother and father, bless their hearts, they were in it. And I believe, don't quote me, but I think his sister's in it also with a small cameo.
Yeah, his sister. Yeah, I just watched it last night.
And you know what? It was a great character. You have Chad Lowe, Rob Lowe's younger brother. You have Christy Swanson, Buffy and the Vampire, Lita Ford, the rock and roll singer. You guys remember the first Predator out there? There was an extremely tall man playing the Predator. He has actually got a small part in the boat, taking the people across to hell. And then, of course, Patrick Bergin, who played the devil, who played opposite Julia Roberts in Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it had a pretty good cast. It's just unfortunate distribution-wise. And it's funny, I still have the actual black and white movie posters that were supposed to go out distribution to the theaters back in about 1990, 91.
Did you start your career as a stuntman?
No, as I said earlier in the broadcast, I had never done a stunt in my life. I had never done acting in my life. I was just a guy off the street. Seriously, I was a big guy running a nightclub as a general manager, met some people. They said, hey, we're going to cast you as Jason, and the rest is history. And when I stepped on the screen, it was the first time I'd ever done anything of that magnitude. Tom McLoughlin had me Taft-Hartley'd into the SAG union, which I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And as soon as I put the costume on for the very first scene, that was the first time I had ever been even in a film or even thought about a film, let alone doing all my own stunts that I'd never done in my life.
Wow.
When you wore the makeup, were you always in makeup? Did they come in and always do the makeup and then put the mask on it, or were you basically not covered in the front?
At the very beginning, well, remember, a movie shot out of sequence. At the beginning where I'm in the grave, that's a full prosthetic. It took time, and it's very time-consuming. Once we got the hockey mask on in different scenes, the front was cut out. It was still a complete prosthetic hood that was pulled over me, and then they'd black out my eye, and the mask would come over it. The scenes that became stunt scenes where I was holding on or taking a knife to Tom Finley's head or taking Darcy's face and throwing it into a camera, I took the mask off because it was a close-up POV point of view from my hands taking that head and putting it into a camera lens. But everywhere else, when I was going through the door, going through the wall, fighting underwater, being set on fire, the mask was on. So pretty much all you have is one eye, and one eye's blocked out, and you have a little peripheral vision. Other than that, you're somewhat blind.
All right, so let's get into our fan questions here. We got a lot of questions from our fans on Reddit. Well, the Friday the 13th fans on Reddit. So here's one from Jason Todd Voorhees. He would like to know if Tom McLoughlin does get his Jason Never Dies story greenlit and you're offered the role of Jason, would you play Jason again in Tom's movie?
Well, I had this conversation with Tom about the last year and a half. He's written a new script. He is working diligently to work with Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Miller to do Friday the 13th, part 13. And he has put it out there on podcasts that he would like for me to step up and play the role again. He has seen me, as you have, in the wardrobe in the last 2 years. And it's basically a turn of the switch. It's no different than 1986 when I put the wardrobe on. So the answer would be, I would entertain it, guys. But for clarification, I don't want to do a goofy script. I'm not an expert, but I really don't want to go to Mars, is what I'm trying to say. So I want the script to be something that I can look at and be proud of as part 6. So I'm not worried about that because Tom McLoughlin is a great writer and a great director. But again, more importantly, I want to make sure that I can deliver you, the fans, a product of quality as good as part 6 as Jason or better. Now, physicality-wise, When you get older, when you're young, you tuck and roll when you hit the ground. When you're older, you go thump. So I want to make sure that, number one, I'd probably be wearing a lot of football tape, to be honest, on my knees and ankles. But if I could do it and deliver a great product, as good or better, then I would entertain the options. However, if I couldn't deliver to the fans what I did in part 6, I don't want to be a has-been that came back, stepped on a screen and embarrassed myself, let alone the franchise.
Well, we'd love to see you again in Tom's movie. And you say about taking the thumps. I think you and I are about the same size. We could talk to Tom. I think we're pretty good friends with Tom. I'll come in and do the stunts for you.
Hey, the way I look at it is, and I mean that respectfully, if there's some stunts I can't do, I wouldn't be able to do them. But if I could do the majority reasonably, I would more than happily. But I really would like to be able to do them all as I did in part 6 to say, hey, I did every one of them. I think there's a way to get through it, but I think it's just a matter of, a little bit more magic, movie magic, and maybe me. Yes, I'm still in good shape. Yes, I'm still solid and but I go ahead and put a 3-4 months into the gym, back and forth treadmills, and get myself where I feel tight. Like I say, if I keep myself under a 36 waist like I do, I might drop to a 34 just because that's where I was when I did it. But as far as chest, arms, and stuff, I'm the same figure as I was, but I would like to at least make sure that I deliver a good product, guys. Otherwise, I'm going to put you in there and let them beat the crap out of you. All right. So let's see. Michael Jimenez would like to know, what was your least favorite scene to shoot? Well, Michael, it really wasn't least because I was so in awe about the whole experience that I was a BA. I had a bad attitude. I can do anything. I'm 20-something. I've been in the military, etc. Hey, I got this. So there was no bad experience. However, I will tell you that the more challenging was 20 feet underwater in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, physically chained down, and signaling for safety divers to come in and give me oxygen when I ran out of oxygen during the fight scenes, because there was no way that I was going to unhook a chain completely and get to the surface that was 20 feet up. Once I signaled, I was out of air. I was at their mercy to come in. They'd lift the mask up and physically put a regulator in my mouth and clear it for me so that I wouldn't have to think, and I'd get the oxygen, I'd take a few deep breaths, and then periodically they'd unchain me. I'd go to the top and look at a small monitor that Tom had, and we talk about the fight scene, and then they'd take me back down, chain me up again, and we do some more fight scenes. Now, the only way you know that you're in action is you could hear the camera ticking underwater. So I don't know if it was, but it was cold. I'll put it that way. But I still thought I was a BA. I had a bad attitude. So I was like, yeah, I can do this. So I don't know if I had a bad experience per se, but I'll tell you right now, that was a challenging experience.
Did Tom ever give you anything to do that you said, shit, I really don't want to do this one?
Nope.
So even the fire, everything was no fear.
Hey, when you have a BA, you got a bad attitude, you're 28, 27, get out of my way. So, and you know what? I had a great stunt coordinator, Michael Nomad, and he talked to me every time. We're going to set you on fire. We're going to gel you up on your back. This is what you're going to feel. This is how long you've got until you really are burning, so don't freak. But I'll tell you, when you've got a hockey mask on and you see flame coming over the front, you're kind of going, how much am I getting paid to do this? Because it is a new experience, but you have to have confidence in the people around you. As soon as you let fear take over, no matter what you do in life, they win, you lose. So, I'm not saying that's the only choice, but at the same time, I was pretty confident of my ability, but more confident of the people around me. So you answered one of our fan questions from Dan Hall about so you were underwater in those scenes. Yeah, well, Dan, let me put it this way so you understand how this works. The water scenes are shot in completely different sequence. Now, when you see me, Dan, going out to the water in the boat with Tommy, that's shot in Covington, Georgia. That's a stagnant lake, that I had to walk into in the middle of the night and not knowing what even looked like in the daytime, go underwater, then basically dunk myself to look like I went all the way under, hold my breath, and then come back up. Then when you see me fighting with the scene with Tommy and I'm on fire, That was done in a pool in Los Angeles. Then when you see me underwater, you're breathing off regulators, that's a 20-foot diving pool in Los Angeles. And then the scene where you see Jason's mask get ripped by the propeller, that was done in Tom McLaughlin's mother and father's backyard pool. So 4 different water to do that scene.
Wow. It's a lot of traveling around.
Yeah.
How long did it take to film the movie?
Approximately 8 weeks, give or take, on both sides. We got back to Los Angeles. My understanding from Tom McLoughlin is all of a sudden we had extra money. And Frank Mancuso said, go back out and do some more kills. So we added 3 more kills, and that was done in Griffin Park.
Cool. Yeah, Tommy told us the story about him asking his dad about using the pool.
Yeah, my understanding is he went down and got the guts and everything, and then he had to clean the pool after it was done.
Do you have to be in makeup every day for those 8 weeks? Or is it certain days that you're on set in makeup and the rest you just have to hang out and watch the production?
Yeah, you're not in makeup every single day. You may be on call 2-3 days in a row, then you may have 2 days off, maybe even 3 days off, and then you're back on set. But the times you're there, you're in makeup because, you know, Jason's in makeup on wardrobe wearing a hockey mask.
All right, so let's see. Sebastian Fuchs Jr. would like to know, what was your favorite part of shooting the movie?
My very favorite scene, Sebastian, was the very first scene. That's the first scene where I put the wardrobe on and stepped onto the set for the first time. And that's the scene where you see me step on in profile. And then you see the motorhome behind me rocking, and I turn and look at it and tilt my head a little bit of curiosity, and I start marching towards the motorhome. And to me, that's my favorite scene, Sebastian, because that's when I just realized, hey, I'm in a movie.
Very cool.
The tilting your head,
All right.
I know that's a really subtle kind of thing, but that became like a Jason type trademark. Like there's these cute little moments.
It's very, and Tom taught me it's just a 1/4 inch. Because it carries over to the camera lens so heavily that it's just a small tilt, just enough to give a curiosity factor. You have to realize a lot of people don't understand wearing a hockey mask. Oh, you didn't talk, you didn't do anything. Well, I challenge anybody to stand in front of a mirror, put a hockey mask on, or a sock over your head, and I want you to show power, fear, anger, frustration, curiosity. But you can't use your voice, can't use your eyebrows, you can't use your facial expressions for anything. It's not that easy.
This is a question I'm surprised we didn't get when we talked to Tom, from Eric Mercer. Whose decision was it to make Jason wear the utility belt and gloves?
Well, it wasn't mine. It was Tom's. And some of it is because in the very beginning, when you see my hands, that's a lot of cosmetics and a lot of stuff. Once I come out of the grave, it simplified the process to wear the gloves. But here's another way of looking at it. I get to be in part 6. I'm the only Jason that has a James Bond opening. I'm the only Jason that comes back to life like Frankenstein. I'm the only Jason that gets to have a rock and roll Hall of Famer, Mr. Alice Cooper, do the music. And to your question, I'm the only Jason that gets to wear a Batman utility belt. All right. So I hope that answers that question.
Bill said in our other episodes, like, you're the Jason that everybody remembers, right, Bill?
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I kind of saw it, he was a real just guy that could take a lot of pain, but he didn't get scary to me until you did it. When you did it, it was like, okay, this unstoppable creature, like now it's a whole new level of holy shit, how are we going to get out of this one? So, yeah, my absolute love of the franchise started because of your film.
And I was, again, very fortunate, luck involved. I spent some years in the military, and I had this natural, physical, authoritative walk. And when you are 6'3", 243, 6'4", 243, you know what? I mean, you do walk into a room, and unfortunately you get noticed, good, bad, or indifferent. So once I put the wardrobe on and I was told one thing you have to remember also, when you're wearing that hockey mask, you have one eye, you can't see well. So when you march, when you put your feet out and you plant each foot, you really do plant them because you can't see your feet. You can't see your knees. but you can see 4 feet in front of you. So when you put that first foot out, you plan it before you take the next one. So that adds to your structure of how you're walking.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So when we post these, or when I post about the fan questions, I usually post a picture of our guest, and I posted a picture of you on a motorcycle. And our good friend Mike Zellner would like to know whose motorcycle is that and who built it.
Okay, well, it's my motorcycle. I have a couple of them. I have the one that you see me, I think it's in front of the tattoo parlor with tattoos on my arms. It's a big dog. It's a chopper. It's got a 117 engine, six-speed transmission, and a 260 rear tire. The actual custom paint job was done by a guy out of Chicago. And he did all the airbrushing to it. In fact, it was so good and done so well that I got an opportunity to put it in a show called SEMA in Las Vegas. It's a car show. And Danny, who does Danny's customs on the TV program, Count Customs, Danny Customs, basically, it was next to his bike at the SEMA show. So I also put it in a show in Lake Havasu in Arizona and got first prize for a custom bike. I also have another one that's just a regular Harley, with ape hangers, and it's pretty natural compared to that one. But that's my scooter, just, one of my horses, I call it.
Very cool. You mentioned about how you got the role for Jason. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
No, just kidding. I was the general manager of a nightclub in Los Angeles. I had a hypnotist on Thursday nights. The hypnotist decided to bring a production company in to shoot his act so he could put a tape together for future bookings, maybe Las Vegas, etc. Just happens that the people he brought in were called Real Effects. Real Effects just happened to be the special effects company that did the special effects on Part 4 with Ted White. So when they came in, they were talking to the hypnotist and said, well, why don't we do like a Jason scene coming through the screen and scare the subjects on the stage? And, they looked at me and said, let's put CJ in the wardrobe. His big butt will fill it out. And we've got the wardrobe from Ted White. And the rest is history, because they said, hey, they were just in shock of my structure. As you said, Bill, when you ran into me, it was like, it's like, okay, I get it now. It's unpredictable. Well, it just happens that I thought they were kidding, of course, and didn't think anything of it. And a few months later, I got a call to meet the stunt coordinator, the director, Paramount Studios, Frank Mancuso Jr., and again, the rest is history.
So someone from the production was just at the show and saw you as Jason?
Yes. So the Real Effects, REEL, Real Effects did all the special effects on Part 4. They also had a production company of their own that they were going to shoot the Hypnotist show. And those folks just noticed me because they had done the special effects for Ted White in the wardrobe, and they saw me up there on that screen, that stage, and they were just in awe about my structure, basically, how I took a position and paused. And that was what they were looking for. And Part 6 came my way and just kept going after that.
Wow. Just right place at the right time.
Yeah, and I mean this sincerely, guys. I mean, sometimes luck is involved, but luck only gets you so far. Then you got to perform.
Sure. Well, that leads me into our next fan question here. Grassy NH would like to know, what did you like better, scaring hypnotized people or playing Jason in a real movie?
Actually scaring my neighbors in the current today, because everybody around me knows I'm Jason, and it's kind of like the ongoing, don't mess with the guy on the top of the hill. That's Jason. So it really was an incredible experience. To answer his question, I mean, there's no way to look at the difference. I mean, you're playing a role that on a stage is just what it was, but doing the actual film 3 decades later, be having this conversation, having a legion of fans out there worldwide, it's pretty humbling.
Are you friendly with the other actors?
Fortunately, yes. We get a chance. I retired about 3.5 years ago from running casino resorts. I was a chief operating officer over a couple casinos and a general manager. And when I stepped away and decided to retire, it gave me more opportunity to do conventions. So I've had more opportunity to see everybody. Tom Matthews, I see him once a year. I talk to him and his lovely wife, Carla, on a regular basis, see how they're doing. And Derek Mears, he got married a couple of years ago. And I see him, Kane Hodder, every few months, him and I see each other at a convention. And some of the other actors from specifically my show, Darcy, I run into her periodically, and Vinny and his wife, Cynthia. So I do see them here and there. And then the last couple of years, I've had an opportunity to do a couple shows with Alice Cooper. And the cool thing about that is I put the wardrobe on and the fans get to take a picture with me and Alice Cooper, and they're in the middle.
That's cool. Very cool. Kevin Bedard would like to know, were you asked to come back as Jason in part 7?
Yes, I was slotted to do part 7. Kane Hodder will tell it. He's said it. I mean, Paramount Studios was satisfied when John was putting the script together. Kane had worked with John before, the writer-director, and Kane is a huge horror fan, so he went to John, and John had to go to Paramount Studios, to Frank Mancuso, to make that official change and make it, even though there was a satisfaction, I got to look at it two ways. That's good for Kane. He did 4 of them. Kane has been a great ambassador for the series. That man is out every weekend at a convention worldwide doing things to promote Friday the 13th over the last 2 decades. I don't know if I'd had that kind of commitment that he has. So I think positively from an ambassador perspective, he's been a great ambassador for the series. So all I can say is kudos. And I never took it offensively at the time. So it still doesn't offend me one way or another. I've had a great career as an executive running casino resorts.
Sure. All right. Getting back into the stunt work, Thomas Smythe would like to know, were those real maggots on you, and how did it make you feel if they were?
Okay, they were real maggots, Thomas, but I didn't have to do that one. I was on set doing a job, and then they do what's called second unit work, Thomas, and it just happens they were waiting to do the second unit, and they were waiting for me to get off set. Well, Christopher Swift, who did all my special effects, he's got a green eye like me. He said, well, I'll put the makeup on. So they put the makeup around his eyeball. They threw the maggots on Chris. And then they had what's called a maggot wrangler with a Q-tip, keeping him out of his eye while they shot that scene. So I got to give kudos to Chris for doing that. I was slotted to do it, but you know what? If you got it done, thank you very much.
Wow. Yeah. No thanks. Adam Hatcher would like to know, did you have the freedom to do your own take on Jason, or did Tommy have specific things that you could or couldn't do?
No, Adam, to be fair, Tom really gave me carte blanche to do what I had to do. He kind of told me what he was looking for. We both appreciated Universal movies back those days, and we had a very similar take on the character structure. A lot of it was very natural, for me, just everything I was doing. I'm a big guy. So Tom didn't say yes, no, maybe. He would just say, just take that machete and swing it as hard as you can into that pole and cut that wire. And that's exactly what I did. I take that machete, I hit that wire on that 4x4, and it stuck. There are a lot of things that they didn't expect. I'll give you an example. There's a scene with the Volkswagen. Now, that's a real window. There's no breakaway window. That's a Volkswagen window, and that's a real spear. Question was, CJ, can you break the window with the spear? What do you think? I said, I think I can do it. So Tom said, okay, let's do a couple shots and see if CJ can just break it through. Otherwise, we'll put a fake window in. Well, it's a real window. The first one, slash, bang, it's over. That's kind of the power that went through it. When you see that spear going into the fender well, same concept. Well, do you think, well, yeah, let's do it. And again, when you've got a spear that big in your arms and you got a 245-pound guy wheeling it, it went right through nice and clear.
Nice. All right. So Nick, main man, would like to know, do you have any funny, interesting, or spooky stories from filming at Camp Daniel Morgan?
Well, my main man, here's what I have to say about that. The only thing I was a little flustered about is when I talked earlier in this broadcast about the stagnant lake, I didn't realize that nobody told me about the water moccasins or the leeches. So I'm out there in the middle of the night walking around like I'm a badass. And when I get out, the first thing I do is go to the shower, and they want to look for leeches to make sure I didn't pick any up. So I didn't know going in. I probably would have thought about it because I may be a BA, but I might have thought about that. So I think it's better that I didn't know. But I always wondered about, trying to find leech on my body. What if it was in the wrong place?
We talked to Tom about the lake that has the replica, the Jason replica, tied down deep. It's your Jason. Have you ever been to that lake?
No.
How badass would it be? You got to swim down there and do a picture with it.
Yeah, I understand. I believe it's in Michigan. Don't quote me. And there was one in Arizona that they took out, I believe, up there at one of the lakes. And I guess it was spooking people too badly. But yeah, again, I'm very fortunate because you have to realize that part 6, Jason ends up at the bottom of the lake. Part 7, Jason starts at the bottom of the lake. So there is some substance to being chained down at the bottom of the lake. Again, humbly appreciative that the fans think that much of me.
Did you stay at the camp during filming?
We actually stayed a little ways away from it, not far, a few miles. There was a small hotel we just basically took over.
Okay.
How many people total are on a production like that?
It varies. It varies in size because daily there can be changes. But your wardrobe, your production, your transportation are there 24/7. Your actors are coming and going on a regular basis. So you may have 5 actors on a scene at one time. You may have 10. Like all those kids, what do we have? 30 at one time. So there's variables in that number of how many people are on location at one point.
I'll probably butcher this. Jorge Santillan would like to know, do you know where the screen-used mask from part 6 is?
Jorge's, yes, I do. I'm looking at one right now from the opening scene on my wall, number 1. I had 2. I sold one many years ago, and the rest have just kind of went out there. I did see one come across the table that I autographed about 10 years ago. And the reason I know is I know where they were marked. And it just happened to be one of the ones they used in one of the scenes. But I know for a fact where one is right now. I'm looking at it. Looks pretty good.
That's awesome.
Very cool. So how many different masks were there during the filming? Is it just because of the different marks that happened?
Yeah, there were give or take 13 of them. And the reason I use that number is because Christopher Swift, Real Effects are the ones that did them. But as you just indicated, the scene's variable as far as changing. The 357 hole doesn't come in until after the sheriff caps me. But then there's blood before, but then there's blood after when I pop the officer's head and the blood splats. But then you go in the water and now the blood starts to change and come off. So each one has a different variable in it. And don't forget, before it even gets all scratched up or dirty or muddy, Tom has it in his hand in the front of a truck.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. I wasn't really sure about this question. Maybe you'll know better. Jason Woolston would like to know, which band is better, the Lone Rangers or Steel Dragon? Does that mean anything to you?
Well, they're both bands. In fact, if I understand Jason's question, the Steel Dragon, isn't that on a movie, Rockstar, if I remember correctly? They're called the Steel Dragons. I think Mark Wahlberg is in that one, if he's talking about the Steel Dragons that I'm thinking of. So I think Rockstar, that was a good movie. Hey, I got an answer. I tried.
All right. So we got a few more here for you. Anthony Brewster says, what do you think of the fan-made movies?
Anthony, I think the fan-made fan films are very appreciative by people like me. It's been 10 years, Anthony, to be fair, since a major production came out, and that the fans are that responsible and very creative to go out there and put a film together like Vengeance, Never Hike Alone, or a couple, and there are others. Kudos to them. You have to remember, in today's technology, shooting a film from a cost perspective is completely different unless you start getting into digitally and start using your computers and there's different effects. But a Jason movie, if you think about it, is really simplistic. It is a barn, a Jason, a hockey mask, some stunts that most people could do, and a lot of red paint, to be quite honest. You can just about do anything with a syringe and red paint. So I think there's been some really good creative ones, and those people one day maybe the one shooting the next Friday the 13th. It may not be part 13, but it might be part 15.
Sure. All right. So just a couple more here. A bunch of people want to know, do you have any, I know with the COVID going on, there's not a lot going on, but do you have any con appearances scheduled for 2021?
2021 is already moving forward. Yes. In fact, I do have a Facebook you can look at. Right now, the first one in 2021 is going to be Days of the Dead, Atlanta, Georgia, the last weekend of February. And then they go after that. Monster Mania is having one next year at Cherry Hill. Texas Frightmare is already on the boards for next year. So yes, there are some coming up. I have about 8 of them scheduled. Midwest Horror is already scheduled. So everybody's starting to promote next year in anticipation that, we'll get some good news with the COVID-19. I think practicing what we do will be for quite a while regardless. I did do 2 this year. I did one about 4 months ago in Vegas, and everybody was great about wearing masks. The fans stayed 6 feet back. We took pictures wearing masks. Everybody kept very clean. They were checking temperatures at the front door of the hotel, temperatures coming into the convention. So we got to maintain that purity that we can. But yes, right now they're booking shows next year. I would be surprised if I don't do 8 or 10 next year.
Great. All right. So our last fan question here is from Ethan Hussein. He would like to know, how has the movie changed your life?
Ethan, I mean, humbly speaking, here we are 3 decades later talking about it. I mean, what an honor, number one. One thing you learn about being in the military, and I was in the military 46 years ago, so yes, I'm old, but you learn about honor and integrity. And I'm honored to have done a job that everybody thinks I did well and is happy with my production. We'll see what happens going forward. I'm shocked. I'll give you an example. There's about 1.3 billion people in India. And if I took a picture over there, an 8x10, and showed a picture of Tom Cruise, they'd all say Tom Cruise. If I took a picture of CJ Graham, they'd shrug their shoulders. However, if you turn it over with a hockey mask, said Friday the 13th, they go, Jason. Interesting fact that it is a worldwide phenomenon. Friday the 13th, that hockey mask is known everywhere. And though they may not know who I am down at the steakhouse having dinner tonight at the Outback, but I'll tell you right now, as soon as one person finds out, it goes through the whole restaurant very quickly that Jason's here having dinner, which, again, humbly appreciative that 3 decades later we're having this conversation. I'm shocked. I'm honored. And I do appreciate the fan base very much.
I tell you, if I was you, I'd be walking to every restaurant. First thing I'd say, I'm Jason.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know if that'll work at a bar for a pickup line, but I don't know about that one, but it is surprising how many people know. True story. Recently, I went down to Walmart, and the young man brought out 10 machetes for me because I had to purchase some machetes. And he came walking out, and we have our mask on. I'm like, we're having a Friday the 13th party. That's all I said. Oh man, I love Friday the 13th. And I'm walking out with him to get to past security. And all of a sudden he put 2 and 2 together because he knew my name, CJ Graham, because I had to show my ID to pick up the prepaid machetes. He just sat there and went, oh God, you're CJ. Yeah. Oh, and for me, it was like, what a nice experience. This man is probably 20. And for him, it was, an out-of-body experience. For me, it was just another day going to the store to pick something up. But it just happened to be that the machetes I needed some, people buy them on my website, jason6.com, and they asked me to send machetes, hockey mask, and 8x10 autograph photos, especially in 2020 because of the conventions being closed down. So sometimes I got to buy extra machetes. I got one order right now on my desk that I got to get signed in 8x10 of the Fireburn and get them out on Monday to a young lady in South Carolina.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, CJ, for doing our show. I think that was it for questions. You just mentioned jason6.com. Where else can your fans find you?
Well, anybody can just Google CJ Graham, and in the top 5 listings, you'll see everything about me. One of them just says jasonvoorheesstore.com. It'll say it's CJ's personal website, and you can click on it and go through the photos and see if there's anything you want. And all you do is just go through PayPal, and very simple. But hopefully I'll see them at the conventions next year. These conventions have taken on a complete new aura, if you think about it. It used to be just horror. And 2 of the biggest horror would be Monster Mania, Days of the Dead, and Texas Frightmare. Spooky Empire is another one. But now Comic-Cons have become where you have everything involved there. And it's interesting because in the days we did these films, nobody wanted to wear a mask. Think about that. And here I put a hockey mask on and I thought I was crazy. Well, nobody can see you, CJ. Well, I don't care. I'm getting paid. But then if you take a look at the last 10 years, you look at all these Marvel, DC, and all of a sudden everybody from Arrow to are wearing masks. Think about it. Flash, they all got a mask on now, and wearing a mask is cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's interesting how we've gone full circle that wearing a mask is part of being successful. When you see some of the DC comic films, the Marvel films, and you kind of go, yeah, I'll wear a mask. Well, we did it back in the 80s, and we're very fortunate to be here talking about it today in 2020.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, thank you so much, CJ. This was great. And, I think we'll have this out, Friday, Casey? We did a little bit of editing,
Friday.
color correcting, do the usual thing. And yeah, this went really, really well. So thank you.
No, guys, Bill, Casey, I appreciate your time. I really appreciate you guys calling me. And, like I always tell people, this is CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, Part 6. And hey, this is Deluxe Edition.
I love it. Thank you. We could use that. That's excellent.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. That was cool.
Yeah, do I sound like a rookie? Come on, I know what I'm doing.
You're no rookie at all. That's great.
Who would know Jason could communicate like this, right? Well, look, guys, Bill, Casey, thank you for your hospitality, allowing me to be part of your show.
Thank you very much.
Man.
Would
All
you
right, guys,
mind
peace.
snapping a photo of the Jason mask? I'd love to see the one on your wall. We can always put that in the film.
I'll bring it over here. Hold that thought.
Oh,
Take
nice.
it off the wall. Can you all see this?
Yeah,
How's
it's
that?
got a reflection, but
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
But yeah, it sits on the wall here. Uh-oh, I got a spear coming down on me.
Ooh, no,
Well, we're going to close this out.
got to do it right.
Yeah. All right, guys, be good. Let's see what we can do to get this in here.